Welcome back. We're here to talk about Saturday lunchtime's Premier League kick-off between Newcastle United and Arsenal. Both drew 0-0 last time out, Pascal. We'll start with Arsenal, a stalemate against Liverpool. What did you make of their performance?
Well, it's a bit of a cliche, but certainly a game of two halves, wasn't it? In the first half, Arsenal really poor. I mean, they were giving it away at the back. Chambers especially just kept giving the ball away, and Liverpool had countless chances to, and they should have probably been 2, 3, 4 goals ahead at half time. They hit the woodwork twice through Coutinho. First one, very unlucky. Second one, brilliant save by Cech, and then Cech made another brilliant save from Benteke, and Liverpool could have easily been sort of out of sight there, but that Arsenal were quite lucky to be goalless at half time still, and they certainly fought back well in the second half. They didn't have as many good chances as Liverpool did in the first half, but they did have chances to win the game. Sanchez especially, he hit the post, and they did have other chances. But I certainly, Wenger said he was pleased with the second half performance, but you wouldn't say just because they played better they deserved much more from the game. Liverpool were the better team in the first half, and probably over the whole game you would have said they deserved it more. I don't know how it finished 0-0 really, but it wasn't a great performance. Still without a goal at home as well. It's slightly worrying for them at the moment.
Yeah, he's mentioned without a goal at home there. It's going to be interesting who starts up front for this one. I think Giroud, you understand. I thought he was always going to start against Liverpool because he offers an aerial threat against Skrtel, but Skrtel won pretty much everything in the air in that game. Giroud never really got into the game and never really did much. He is capable of something spectacular. He showed against Palace a really good goal a couple of weeks ago, but against this Newcastle defence, I think Walcott might be more suited to it. Colaccini and Taylor, they haven't got much pace. They started as a centre-back partnership against Manchester United. So I just wonder if he's going to start with Walcott through the middle. Walcott ended the season superbly last season, and people thought he was going to start this season as the main striker ahead of Giroud. He hasn't done that yet. He's come on. He hasn't shown too much when he has come on, but I think he might get a chance from the start today because I think he's better suited to take advantage of this Newcastle defence than Giroud is.
Yeah, you mentioned the Newcastle defence there. Arsenal, I think they'll probably consider the fact that I think they did well to keep Liverpool out, considering it was Chambers and Gabriel that started in the middle. It was a real blow for them. No one really knew that Mertesacker and Koscielny would both be out, and I think this weekend, I think Koscielny's still going to be out, but Mertesacker will be back. That'll be a big boost, and it'll be interesting to see who he goes with alongside Mertesacker. I think the amount of mistakes Chambers made, I think Gabriel probably looked better than him, so it'll probably be him there. But I think the home form is worrying for Arsenal, isn't it? Usually they can go on these runs where they just look invincible at home, but then there's other times like they've started this season, lose 2-0 at home to West Ham, 0-0 with Liverpool, where they look really uneasy at home and they can't quite find their best form. But away from home they're doing a little better. I think they're unbeaten in 7 if you date back to last season in the Premier League, and only Chelsea last season got more points than them on the road. So away performance has certainly been, I would say, better than at home, but yeah, they need to improve that home form if they're going to have any chance of going for the title this year.
Moving on to Newcastle, they'll fancy their chances of keeping Arsenal out. They kept Manchester United out. A little fortunate to do so last time out. United had so many chances to win that game. They really should have done it, but just misfiring. The likes of Memphis Depay and Wayne Rooney both had good chances to win the game. Krul ended up having to make 8 saves, but only probably 2 of them were he actually stretched to make. They were tough saves to him to make. The rest were straight at him. So United didn't really do much of that. And Newcastle, you have to say, defensively, their last line of defence was superb in that game. Colaccini had a great game at the centre-back. Krul had a good game despite most of his saves being straightforward. And they'll take a lot of heart from that. They're still looking for their first league win under Steve McLaren. They got one in the League Cup, which was a decent performance, but we always expect them to win that match. They need to get that first league win under their belt. I think the match against Manchester United, they could have won that in the end. Despite being on the back foot for so long, Mitrovic came closest to scoring when he hit the bar with a magnificent header, it really was. And then late on, just after Smalling had hit the post for United, they broke up, had a 3-on-1 situation. Cisse didn't really make the most of it, and it was just beyond the foot of Florian Thauvin, the new signing. And they could have won that late on, and they probably should have won it with those chances as well. They're fortunate not to concede, it has to be said, but they had the chances to win that, and McLaren will see that as something to build on, I think, for the future.
Certainly, and I think he'll certainly be impressed by Thauvin performances. Came on against United and certainly looked dangerous, like I say, almost got the winner at the end there. And in the League Cup against Northampton, he scored one. I think he played a part in all 3 of the other goals as well. 4-1 win. So, Newcastle, recent years they've certainly signed a lot of players from Ligue 1, French players, and some have done really well. Sissoko's impressed me in the last couple of seasons, but there's others that haven't done quite so well. But at the moment, Thauvin looks like a great signing, and McLaren, like you say, still searching for that first Premier League win. But you look at the start they've had; it has been difficult. Southampton at home. Southampton were brilliant last season. Then they go to Swansea, who have looked great, and then they go to Manchester United. And I think 2 draws out of 3 in those games isn't actually that bad. And obviously Arsenal here is another really tough one. So it has been a difficult start for them. And they've got Chelsea and City coming up as well in the next few games. So It's certainly not been an easy start for McLaren, but like you say, he just needs that win, to give the club a boost, and then they'll certainly have an easier run of fixtures around October, November time. So it's been a tough start for him, but certainly some positive signs.
Do you give them any chance of getting that first win under McLaren here?
I don't. I think Arsenal will be certainly out to put in a big statement, because that first half performance against Liverpool was so poor. I think they could go to town here, because they have looked better away from home recently, and I think they might run right here. I'm going to go with the 3-0 away win.
3-0. They've been a little unpredictable so far, Arsenal, but when they hit their stride, and Newcastle, a team, they'd fancy their chance against, even though they've had a solid start to the season. So I'm going to go for a fairly comfortable Arsenal win as well. I'm going to go for 2-0. So both going for fairly comfortable Arsenal victories. Thanks for joining us.